Hey, what is this shit you're watching?
The movie kicks off with Joe in a rundown motel, where he works as a hitman, specializing in rescuing girls from trafficking rings. After wrapping up a job, he carefully erases any trace of his presence. On his way out, while cutting through an alley, a guy jumps him, but Joe quickly turns the tables. After that, he hails a cab to the airport and uses a payphone to let his handler know the job's done. Back in New York City, Joe notices a kid named Moises smoking with a friend on an emergency stairwell near his apartment. Joe lives with his elderly mother, the only real family he has. A former FBI agent and Gulf War vet, he struggles with severe PTSD, haunted by painful memories. He recalls handing a candy bar to a child, only to watch another kid shoot him over it. Another memory shows him stumbling upon a storage unit filled with the bodies of trafficked girls. On top of that, his past is marred by an abusive childhood, hiding from his violent alcoholic father. Suicidal thoughts constantly creep in. He plays with a knife, suffocates himself with a plastic bag, and even stands dangerously close to train tracks, contemplating ending it all. Joe stops by a bodega, where he spots Moises again. He's there to pick up his payment from Angel, a middleman between him and his handler. Joe warns Angel that his son saw him coming home last night, which could mean the kid knows too much. Uncomfortable with the risk, Joe decides to cut ties, leaving Angel with his share of the money before walking away. Later at home, he shares a rare happy moment with his mother, singing while they clean silverware. He then meets up with his handler, John McCleary, and tells him he won't be dealing with Angel anymore and needs a new middleman. McCleary hands Joe a fresh job,
I could never see the point myself.
recovering the missing daughter of State Senator Albert Votto. The girl, Nina, disappeared after her mother took her own life years ago. Votto wants the whole thing handled quietly because of his political connections to Governor Williams,
Josephine, too, is coming out of dry dock, thanks to
offering Joe $50,000 in cash for a safe return. Joe later meets with Votto at the Union Club to get details. Votto believes Nina is being held in a shady spot known for trafficking.
Her name is Nina.
Joe gives him a location where they'll meet after the job's done. Before parting ways, Votto makes one thing clear. He wants the guys responsible to suffer. Joe spends the afternoon gathering supplies, including his trusty ball-peen hammer. Tracking down the trafficking house, he ambushes a man going in and out, forcing him to spill details on the security setup,
Relax. What's your name?
including the door code and number of guards inside. Once he gets in, Joe brutally takes out the guards with his hammer, showing zero hesitation. He even kills a client mid-act before finding Nina lying on a bed. Carrying her on his back, he rushes her to his car and drives to the arranged meeting spot. While they wait, Nina unexpectedly kisses Joe in gratitude, but he gently pushes her away, reassuring her she doesn't have to do that. As time passes, it becomes clear that Votto isn't coming. Joe takes Nina to a motel, assuming her father will show up soon. Then, the news flashes on the TV. Votto has apparently committed suicide, jumping to his death. A sudden knock on the door startles Joe. It's one of Votto's men, but before anything can happen, he's shot dead by two corrupt cops standing behind him. One officer grabs Nina and drags her away, while the other tries to kill Joe. But Joe fights back, ultimately choking the cop to death. With Nina gone, Joe rushes to figure out what's happening. He goes straight to McCleary's place, but the house is completely empty. He takes McCleary's car and heads to his office, only to find a gruesome scene. McCleary has been tortured and killed. On his desk, Joe finds Angel's contact info and tries calling, but no one picks up. Meanwhile, the assassins have also taken out Angel and his son, Moises. Fearing the worst, Joe rushes home, only to find his mother murdered in her bed, killed while she slept. Then, he realizes the killers are still inside, waiting for him. Joe wastes no time and quickly takes control of the situation, shooting both attackers. One of them, barely clinging to life, writhes on the floor in agony. Instead of finishing him off immediately, Joe hands him a painkiller and demands answers. He wants to know which one of them killed his mother, and if they were the ones who took out Votto. Struggling to breathe, the dying hitman spills the truth. Votto wanted out and had been dealing with Governor Williams, a man dangerously obsessed with Nina, calling her his favorite. As his life slips away, the hitman starts humming along to the song playing on the radio, grasping Joe's hand as they both lie on the floor. Heartbroken, Joe carefully wraps his mother's body in plastic and drives to a lake. The pain of losing her is unbearable. He lays her gently in the water, watching as she drifts away before filling his own pockets with stones, ready to end it all. As he sinks deeper into the dark waters, a vision of Nina suddenly flashes in his mind, pulling him back to reality. With newfound determination, he fights his way to the surface, realizing he still has unfinished business. Piecing together everything in his head, Joe finally sees the full picture. Votto and Governor Williams were deeply entangled in a child trafficking operation. Votto had handed over his own daughter to Williams, hoping to gain political favor. But the weight of his guilt became too much, pushing him to take his own life. Fueled by rage and purpose, Joe sets out to track Williams down. After following a trail across the city, he finally finds himself at the governor's grand estate. With his hammer in hand, Joe breaks into the house, swiftly taking out the guards one by one. He moves methodically, making his way upstairs, his only focus on saving Nina. But when he finally reaches her room, he is met with an unexpected sight. Governor Williams is already dead, his throat slit. The shock of it all hits Joe hard. Emotionally drained, he sinks to the floor, taking off his shirt as tears stream down his face. As he makes his way downstairs, exhaustion and grief mess with his mind. He starts seeing things, his mother sitting on a couch, smiling warmly at him, then a vision of his younger self at a dining table. Finally, he spots Nina, sitting calmly at the table, her hands stained with blood, a bloody razor resting beside her. It becomes clear she was the one who killed Williams. Later, Joe takes Nina to a quiet diner for a meal. They sit in silence, both lost in thought. She finally breaks the silence, asking where they'll go next. Joe has no answer. As she steps away to use the restroom, Joe, overwhelmed and utterly drained, imagines himself pulling out a gun and shooting himself in the head. No one in the diner reacts, as if his death means absolutely nothing. But when Nina returns, the vision vanishes. It was just another hallucination. Joe is still there, slumped over, exhausted but alive. She looks at him, then smiles and says they should go because it's a beautiful day. Joe nods, agreeing, and the two quietly leave the diner. The film ends with their empty booth, a silent testament to everything they've been through. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you didn't, feel free to hit the dislike button twice, just to be sure. For the full experience, you should definitely watch the movie yourself. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more content like this.